everybody, what's going on? Ty Hope here. Today I decided to make a video about Silent Hill F and in particular the novelization. So here in Japan, I live in Japan. The novel of the game just came out a couple days ago, and just finished reading it. Took about 4 days. It's about I think it's 315 pages. But yeah, the novel of the game came out. It's only in Japanese right now. I don't think there's an English version. There might be, I'm not sure, but I bought it here in Japan. And I'd like to talk about this book today. So I have played through the game 7 times now. I got Platinum and absolutely love the game. So today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give a brief review, differences I noticed between the game and the book, and stuff like that. I don't have a script. I just have some rough notes. So if I mumble and jump around a bit, forgive me. It's just a quick video I just decided to make. So, all right, let's jump right on in. So, spoiler warning, if you haven't played through the entire game yet, all endings, because I am going to be discussing 2 endings in particular. If you haven't done those yet and you don't want spoilers, fair warning, this contains spoilers, and it's very game accurate. So, first thing I'll say is that I'd say about 95% of the book is pretty much just spot on, aligned with the game. Just the way the way the structure and the everything goes, it's pretty much beat for beat. I guess the key difference is that each scene, obviously because it's a book, goes into much more detail, lots more character development, a lot more flashbacks that aren't in the game. But the first thing I noticed is that the opening scene of the book, the very first scene of the book, is the playground scene where a very young Kotoyuki is bit by a fox. They go into detail about how him and the other boys, because he was the new boy in town, so, you know, picking on little animals, I guess that's just a kid thing to do. Hinako remembers how cruel that was, because she's kind of sitting off to the side watching, but you know, kids will be kids, and Kotoyuki, he didn't want to pick on this little fox, but, you know, peer pressure and this and that, so they're all prodding it with a stick, and he ends up getting bit. The other boys, lots of blood, the other boys run off to go get parents. Hinako comes over and, you know, helps him. She also comforts the fox. It'll be okay. And then they also say how Hinako secretly led the fox back into the forest so no parents would find it and potentially kill it. So that's how the book opens. After that, it goes pretty much into where the book starts, or the game starts, with the parents, and there's a lot more detail into the tension and the violence with especially the father. But it's in more detail. Lots of flashbacks with the parents, especially with him throwing things like ashtrays and bottles. And they go into detail about how there's scrapes and holes in walls and like cuts in the tatami mat. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. Dropped my controller. So that happens. Hinako rushes out of the house. And one thing you notice too is that immediately she starts having headaches all throughout the book, and so she's already popping pills very early. So that is something that, you know, in the game, most people know by now that taking pills, not taking pills alters the endings. In this book, she's absolutely taking pills, and quite a few of them. She has lots of flashbacks. Oh, she notices that there's no people in town. She's like, this is weird. There's no birds, no sound. The sounds of like washing machines from the local, like nothing, no sound at all. So while she's walking, she decides to go to Chizuriya, which, if there's going to be people, that's where it's going to be. She has flashbacks of playing Space Rangers with Shu. And then here she meets up with Sakuko really quick, meets up with Shu. That's all pretty much beat for beat, same as the game. Rinko arrives. And then Sakuko's death, when she starts breaking out in those little red, you know, blisters and bumps and stuff, that's pretty much the same. They all run away. As they're running away, they all get spread apart. And Hinako describes all the red vegetation and the flowers and everything and the vines as if the town is being opened inside out, and she describes it as like literal the town's intestines, which I thought was a pretty cool descriptive way to explain what's going on. She escapes the fog monster. One small difference here is that in the game, you hear Junko lower the ladder to let her in the house. In the book, the ladder's already down. No Junko in this scene. She just climbs up. She doesn't go into a house here. She goes roof to roof to roof to escape. On her way back to Chizuriya, because she wants to go find Sakuko just to make, see if she is okay, lots of flashbacks and details about her relationship with Sakuko when they were really young. And Sakuko is absolutely terrified of not only the dark, but more specifically being alone. This is all in the game, but they go into much more detail. She is just terrified of the dark. And it's not so much the dark, is that the darkness leads to the feeling of loneliness, and the thought of being alone is the absolute most terrifying thing to Sakuko. So that within the flashback, Sakuko makes Hinako promise, "You'll never leave me alone ever, ever, ever." They promise, and eventually Hinako gets back to Chizuriya, sees Sakuko's body lying in the street, just like the game, completely covered in, red vegetation. Except in the book, they go into more detail about how Hinako she's just digging and digging and digging and ripping away vines and flowers, and she can't even find where Sakuko's face is supposed to be. So it's pretty traumatic. Hinako brings Sakuko's body into Chizuriya. The blanket that she uses, I don't remember if they say this in the game or not, but the blanket that she uses to cover her body is the blanket that the owner of Chizuriya, who's like an old lady, used to just wear or use as a lap blanket, so it was in the shop. So they tell you exactly what the blanket was. Okay, let's continue. Another thing to notice, or to note, is that obviously the game has lots of puzzles, things like that. There are no puzzles in the book. It's just, one beat to the next. There's no like mystery solving, puzzle solving. There's none of that. The only weapons that she ever uses in the book are the steel pipe and when she's in like the spirit fox realm, the dagger. She never gets the spear. That's not a thing in the book. She doesn't get the sacred sword. That's not a thing in the book. She does go to that tree, but no mention of the sword at all. Okay, lots of development with Shu as well. Lots of flashbacks, lots of childhood memories, lots of Space Rangers stuff, and the origins of calling each other Aibol, which is partner. That basically came about because when they were really little, there were lots of members of the alien space war team, lots of little kids, but like as they got older, one by one, kids just kind of outgrew it and naturally faded away, until eventually it was just Shu and Hinako left. It was only the two of them. So when it was just the two of them, that literally be hey partner, hey Aibol, and that's where that came from. Then they get to the rice fields, more flashbacks with Shu. Hinako so the fog rolls in, and the fog becomes very symbolic, and Hinako even specifically in her thoughts mentions how this fog is trying to get me lost. Like it's like this sentient thing that exists to separate me from my friends, to get me lost. So she knows what it is when she sees the fog rolling in. So she gets lost in the rice field, and she has flashbacks of when she was very, very little. I think this is touched on in the game, but I don't remember into what detail, so I might be saying some things twice. But when she was a very little kid, she got lost in that exact rice field, and it was a traumatizing, horrifying moment for her. In fact, it was the last time in her life she remembers crying. She gets really lost, and she remembers being saved by another little girl. She has no idea who this little girl is. She just knows that it was a kind little girl that showed her the way out of the rice fields. She thanks her, and then throughout the story, she, in her mind, thinks many times that oh, I really wish I knew who that girl was that day. I've always wanted to go thank her. But she has no idea who that girl was. No mention of her again. More on that later. Let's see where we at. So now we're back. Oh, that's right. So the girl in the field that helps her as a little kid. So in the fog, the scarecrows that it's only in the book, it's only one scarecrow that points the way out. But that scarecrow, Hinako's like, I know I've seen this face before. I know I've seen this face before. And she remembers, oh, it's the little girl from when I was really little. And she's not here to attack me. She's here to help me get out of this fog. Back to the spiritual or the dark fox realm. The Sakuko fight, it's basically a book version of a boss fight. She fights her with the dagger. Lots of dialogue there. Lots of Sakuko like, oh, I'll never forgive you. You said you'd never leave me. And eventually kills her off there. Then we get to the... I'm skipping a lot. I only made notes of the things that were not either slightly or very different from the book. Things that were identical, I'm just kind of glossing or skipping over. The scene where she's with Kotoyuki and he's drinking the water and he tells her to drink the water and it's kind of like magma water. She goes into much more detail. She describes it as literally her gums melting and all of her teeth falling out in her mouth. So it's very, very grotesque and very descriptive in the book. Okay, back to the quote-unquote real world. She's back with Shu and Rinko. They make their way to Chizureya, but there's that giant, like, fat blob monster there in front of it, just like in the game. And there's also several, not just one or two, but there's like a ton of smaller monsters roaming about, coming out of Chizureya. And Hinako is specifically, like, furious that they're... what's the best word? That they're invading the final resting place of Sakuko, because Sakuko's body's still there. So the fact that these monsters are desecrating her resting place is just, it really sets her off. Another thing, the big fat monster, the smaller ones are actually chopping parts of it off, like little parts of like plants and whatnot. And Hinako notices that that's how they spread the seeds throughout the town. So little parts of the plant and of its body gets flown off and they start growing into other more plants. Father flashback with the knife. There's several flashbacks of the father throwing the knife. So it's really emphasized how traumatic that was as a child, for Hinako. Hinako, she has been popping pills throughout the book. She notices at this point though that her pills smell different. They've kind of like a sweet peach-like smell to them. So that's something she notices. She doesn't know what that is, but she just assumes that since Shu is his family is they make medicine, he probably just changed the ingredients to kind of better suit what she needs for her headaches. Okay, now we're at school. One thing in the game that people kind of laugh and notice is that why didn't they just hop over the fence, because it's this tiny little fence? But in the book, it's specifically described as a large fence with barbed wire all wrapped around it, which I don't know why they didn't do that in the game, because like in the game, when you're playing it, literally anyone could just hop over. But anyway, in the book, that's more clearly defined. Also in the school, Rinko and Shu stay in the classroom, and Hinako says, I'm going to go get the key. That's the same, except there's no puzzles or anything. It's literally, you know, she wanders through the school. She has a lot of flashbacks of her school memories. Enters one of the classrooms, and those little paper foxes that have like rumors and whatnot about them, about her. There's a scene where like it's just not one or two. Like they start pouring out of a desk, and the whole room is like filled with them, like up to her knees. So one by one, she's like opening them, and they're all just terrible things about her. Like really, really nasty things, mostly from Rinko. Let's see. Then she goes to get the key from the teacher's office. There's no puzzle or anything. She just literally just goes to the teacher's office, just go gets the key. It's just there. Okay, where we at? She has a flashback of Junko, her sister, and she notices that her sister, ever since getting married, changed. Her personality completely changed. She aged a ton. The warmth that was always there, the lovingness, that all just went away. And especially when Junko was pregnant in the hospital, Hinako went to go visit her, and it was really apparent on that day that like she's completely different now. So marriage in regards to Junko is portrayed as a very negative thing. Okay, where are we at? Sorry, I'm just kind of skipping through here. Now we're at the while she's in school, she specifically calls her junior high school years an awkward time when I wasn't either a tadpole or a frog. And she uses the literal English word grotesque. She considers herself or those years the grotesque years. More Sakuko flashbacks, more promises of let's always be together, let's make boyfriends together, let's get married at the same time, all this. And Sakuko even says to her, if we can't get married, well then let's just live together, but no matter what, let's just always be together. And she really, really hammers in this like, this need for Hinako to be in her life. She's just this insanely important person. Hinako doesn't really realize it. She just kind of goes along with it through the years, but to Sakuko, it's literal. It's like she makes a whole journal of every single promise, and she even checks in on her. She's like, yep, on this date you promised that, and she looks at it and like, so it's very traumatic when promises are broken for her. Then the rituals scene. We all know about the rituals. The cutting off of her own arm, the branding with the seal on her back. Then they cut her face off and put on the fox mask. That's all the same, except in the book, in the game, you do one ritual, then you go through some game, and then there's another. In the book, it's back to back to back. It's like, okay, room number 1, boom, room number 2, and so there's really no in between. It's just ritual 1, 2, 3. When she puts the new arm on, she specifically describes it as there is no warmth, and it feels as if there's no blood flow, but she can move it. Then we get to the Rinko fight. Rinko's face is described, just as it in the game, like this empty magma hole that she's literally burning with jealousy. So the fire is very symbolic of the burning with jealousy. Throughout the fight, so this was an interesting reveal too, is that Rinko flat out says, Rinko says, do you remember the first time we met? And then Hinako has she mentions, I forget exactly when she says, but Rinko's like, so you did forget. The first time we met was back in that rice field when you were a little kid. So like it all clicks. Hinako's like, that was you? So it turns out when she was a little kid, Rinko is the one who saved Hinako from being lost in the rice field, but Hinako forgot all those years. And Rinko goes on to say, I should have let you die that day. I should have led you in the wrong direction. So many kids fall into holes in rice fields and die. Nobody would have even noticed. Like, she really pours it on about not only how much she hates Hinako, but like how she wishes, like every day in her mind, she just wishes that she had done something more to kill her off even way back then. So they do go very into detail about how just burning with hatred Rinko is. In the fight, they actually do the game's Ultra, where like her arm grows and gets muscular and big. They actually do that in the books. They describe her arm getting huge and powerful. She rips off one of Rinko's arms and shoves it through her face, and then literally just smashes the hell out of her with her giant arm. Okay. Then we progress more. Eventually, when she gets back to her own house, she doesn't recognize it. She describes it as a literal maze, and if I'm not careful, I'm going to get lost in my own house. No puzzles or anything, none of the finding the pictures, all that. She's just wandering around room to room. She says, I remember this room. I don't even know this room. So very confusing for her. She describes some rooms as, I think this room was from before I was born. So like, not only is there just like differences, there's like time skips, all that. when she goes into her own room and meets herself, that's just like the game, except one thing to note here is that the conversation they have is from your first playthrough. So every playthrough you do, every path you choose, the conversation in the meeting with yourself is a little different. The one that they choose in this, or in the book, is the first playthrough, where herself, they pretty much like, would you just die already or I'll kill you off, and then her face falls off. That's all through playthrough 1. Then there's the parent boss fight, which is pretty much the same, except there's a key difference here. In ending number 4 of the game, when you're going through the house, there's many scenes where the mother and the father have a heart-to-heart talk with Hinako about, like, the mother saying, like, oh, there's a lot you don't know. Like, I'm a lot stronger than you think I am. Those who played through the game know what I'm talking about. That ending 4 dialogue is mixed into the boss fight scene. So as she's fighting both the mother and the father, there's times when the mother, even though she's like attacking her with a butcher or a kitchen knife, she's also doing all that opening up dialogue. So it's kind of this weird contrast. There's a part where you think the mother and Hinako are like, they kind of both get knocked down and they're kind of holding hands and they have this bonding moment, but the mother attacks her anyway. And eventually Hinako bashes her head in with the pipe. The father goes nuts. And then the same thing happens with the father. He's this big blob monster, but like as he's attacking her with the giant knife arm, he also goes into his big apology. Even though he's attacking her, while he's attacking her, he's also apologizing profusely for being a bad father. I thought this is how fathers were supposed to be. Blah, blah, blah. Again, it's taken straight from ending 4, but it's kind of mixed into the boss fight. They meet the Shiromuku outside, which is the big bride fog monster. Because this is after the fight, the parents walk out, it squashes their heads. Okay, the game proceeds. Now we're back in the spirit world here. Again, I'm skipping a lot because I'm only doing things that I consider different. When Hinako meets Junko, this time, it's the ending 4 version, where Hinako's like, Sister Junko, like, I know what's going on. There's 2 forces that is like pulling at both sides of me. I'm being toyed with. Someone's pulling the string. So it's straight out of ending 4 in this part. And Junko's kind of like, kind of blowing it off, not really paying it much attention. Kotoyuki comes out. There's 2 Hinakos there, both versions, one with the mask, one without the mask. They're both there. Kotoyuki's like, what's the meaning of this? What's going on? How did you get in here, kind of thing. Then Kotoyuki sees the pill that fell out of her pocket on the floor. And I could be mistaken, but I don't think this was in the game. Maybe it was, but he sees a pill on the floor. And Kotoyuki knows right away. He's like, you've been taking these. And he knows what those pills do. He knows of the ingredients and how it basically splits you in 2. So he describes that. And then Shu arrives on the scene. And he even says to Shu, you've been taking these pills too. And let me get to my next thing of notes. Shu says, yes, I have been taking the pills because I needed a way to help Hinako, and I heard that these pills can help you have inner dialogue. So he tries to explain himself. And then he explains when he himself was taking the pills that the doll, the little doll with the blonde hair in the red dress, came to him in his dreams and said, please help me save Hinako. So Shu, in his mind, thought these pills are how I save her. And by save her, he means like he's certain that she doesn't want to go through this marriage. So that's how he does this. Kotoyuki says that's not the real Shu. That's a copy that was manifested by the pills. Then Shu fires back at Kotoyuki. And this part's really interesting because in the game, this is kind of assumed, but in the book, it's spelled out. Shu says, you're no different than I am because this whole time you've been using hypnosis techniques to manipulate Hinako yourself. And first Kotoyuki's kind of like, but then like he finally admits it. He's like, he flat out says that he's been using hypnosis techniques by means of fragrances, like the wood smoke fragrances, The things that he makes her drink are like some type of alcohol. Actually, like looking into his eyes, when he's always saying to look into his eyes, these are all hypnosis techniques that have been passed down through his clan for generations. So he says that this is something that my people have been doing for generations. So he doesn't really think too much of it. Like, he's just like, he admits it. He's like, yes, I did. So then Shu pretty much says that, like, Kotoyuki says to Shu, I hate you for what you've done with the pills, but I can't blame you because I've basically done the same thing. So he admits it. And then Shu and Kotoyuki are kind of arguing, and they're both like, she's mine, she's mine. They're both treating her as a thing, as property. So Hinako explodes. She's pissed off. She's like, would you all stop treating me like I'm your property? I'm not your damn property. Okay. Kotoyuki then... Oh, it goes into boss fights. The first boss fight is against Shu, and he's in that big god body with all the spare parts and the doll and everything, and that gets defeated. Hinako, he says, you held back, didn't I? Because Hinako could have killed him, but she intentionally didn't go full strength just so he wouldn't die. So she intentionally beats him up, but she doesn't kill him. She fights Kotoyuki in fox form. Kotoyuki says things like, he's really like in denial. He's like, what did I do? Like, what did I do wrong? And then when he finally realizes like the hypnosis and all those methods he used were in like something he shouldn't have done, he's like, how am I ever going to pay for my sins? How can I ever like, earn your trust back? And then he's still confused though. He's like, isn't happiness for a woman just being loved by a man? Isn't that like what happiness is for women? And then Hinako like explodes. She's like, maybe for some, like maybe for most even, but not me. And then he realizes it. He's like, so all I had to do this whole time was just be me. None of these fox tricks. And Hinako's like, pretty much, yeah, but you did. So, there's a lot of back and forth with that. And it all comes down to that all she ever wanted was choice. So those who are familiar with ending number 4 of the game, this pretty much just goes right into ending 4. Down to a T, pretty much. She beats Kotoyuki, she beats Shu. Shu gets back up, he sits next to Kotoyuki, and they kind of like do a fist bump and like, well, looks like we both screwed up pretty much. He's like, both of us wanted what was best for Hinako, but both of us were pretty wrong. And then Kotoyuki's like, maybe you're not so bad. Maybe we can be good friends because we both want the same thing, and that's her happiness. And then the ending is pretty much the same as ending 4. Hinako says, no, I'm not making any decisions now. One half of her, the Fox Mask side, is, maybe I'll like you in the future. Maybe I'll even propose to you in the future. And the other half's like, I got other things I want to focus on too. And they do the whole sitting on top of the Torii Gate. They look out into Ebisugaoka where there's no people. And that's how it ends. So that's how the book goes. Very similar to the game. A few differences here and there. I hope that was interesting for some. Do I recommend the book? I liked it. It's only in Japanese right now. I don't know. There's probably going to be English and other versions available eventually. But if you can read Japanese, I enjoyed it. Goes into more detail than what I've laid out. Again, 315 pages. I just gave the very abbreviated version here. All right. Well, that's the video. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And if that interests you, pick up the book. It's really good. Where is it? Silent Hill F novelization version. Grab it. All right, guys. Have a great day. Take it easy. Bye now.